Okay, good morning. The Sicha is a Sicha in Chelek Chov Daled, volume 24. The Sicha is the second Sicha in regards to Chamisha Asar B'Av, 15th day of Av, which of course is tonight. And the Rebbe is making a siyum on the Sichta Tainis, Yerushalmi and Babli. It was said, the Sicha was said in the year of Tovshin Mem Gimel. Tu B'Av Tovshin Mem Gimel, the Sicha was said. The Rebbe was making a hadron on tractate of Tainus of the Yerushalmi and Babli. The Sicha starts off as follows. Aleph. The Mishnah is up, B'Siyam Mesechta Tainus. At the end of tractate Tainus, the Mishnah says as follows. Everyone knows, Le'hoyu yomim tevim liYisrael kechamisha aser ba'ov u'kiyoyim hakipurim. There were no days as joyous for the Jewish people as the 15th of Av, and like Yom HaKippurim. U'benois Yerushalayim, Yesh Garsim u'benois Yisrael, and the daughters of Yerushalayim, and some people have the version of the daughters of Israel, Yoitzois v'choiles b'kram. It says that the daughters of Yerushalayim, or the daughters of Yisrael, would go out and dance in the kramim, in the vineyards over there. Uma hayu oimres, and what would the girls, what would they say? They would say, Bachor, young man, sana inecha, lift up your eyes, Ure'eh, and see. So they would tell the young men, lift up your eyes and see. Ma'ata be'er lecha, what you choose for yourself. In other words, what you choose for your wife. Al titein einecha b'noi, do not put your eyes on beauty. Rather, tein einecha b'mishpacha, focus, put your eyes on family. And they quoted the pasuk, which is brought down in Friday night by Ishas Chayil, Sheker Achein the Hevel Ayefi, Isha Yiras Hashem Hi Tisalo. And they would quote the pasuk and say that the Sheker Achein, grace is deceitful, the Hevel Ayefi, and beauty is vain. Isha Yiras Hashem Hi Tisalo, but a woman who fears Hashem, she shall be praised. V'omer, and it says, Snu law, mipiri yodel, v'halua b'sha'arim ma'asel. Give her fruit, give her the fruits of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. V'cheinu omer, similarly, it says, Se'eno re'ena b'nei Tzion, b'melach shleima, ba'ateres she'itu lo'imai b'yom chasunasai. B'yom simchas libay b'yom chasunasai zeman teira. So it says also that go forth, daughters of Tzion, and gaze upon Shleima Melech, upon the crown with which his mothers crowned him on the day of his wedding, on the day of the gladness of the heart. Now, what does it mean on the day of the wedding? This refers to the giving of the Torah. And like Rashi says, Yom HaKippurim shnitlim b'luchas ha'achenis. Why does B'yom Chasanasai refer to Matan Torah? Because it's the day of Yom Kippur, the day of the wedding, this refers to the day of the Torah. The day of Yom Kippur, which the second luchas was given based on, and this is what Rashi says, B'yom Simchas Libay zeh binyan beis hamikdash, and on the day of the gladness of his heart, this refers to the building of the Beis HaMikdash, shenischanech b'yom Kippurim, which was inaugurated on the day of Yom Kippur. Rashi, the Rif Shom, this is based on Rashi and on the Rif there, and the Bavadia Bartanura. Sheyibane b'meida b'yameinu, may be rebuilt speedily in our days. So that's what the Mishnah says. The last Mishnah in Tainus brings down that there was never such joyous days, the Yisrael Kechamisha Asar B'Av and Yom HaKippurim, because the Bnei Yerushalayim or the Bnei Yisrael would go out and they'd make circles in vineyards, and they would say, young man, Bocher, lift up your eyes and see what you're choosing. Don't put your eyes on beauty, rather put your eyes on family, as it says that the Sheker HaChain, Chain is false, and beauty is also vanity. Rather, a woman who's a Yiras Hashem, she should be praised. And as it says as well, give her the fruits in her hands, and she should be praised in her gates. And it says, go out, b'nei Tzion b'melech shleima, go forth, daughters of Tzion, and gaze upon King Shleima, upon the crown on which his mother's crowned him on the day of his wedding, which that refers to Matan Torah, because that's when Yom Kippur, that's when it was given, and B'yom Simchas Libay is Binyan Beis Hamikdash, which was not inaugurated, and Yom Kippur may be speedily built in our days. Now, the Rebbe says, the Gemara, if the Mishnah break min abraisa, as the Bnei Yerushalayim Yisrael zan given kama sugim mishpachas. The Gemara on the Mishnah cites a brisa that states that the daughters of Yerushalayim comprised of several categories. There was different, in the Bnei Yerushalayim or Bnei Yisrael, they had different categories, different families. And the Gemara says like this. Yafyefyes shebehen ma hayu imres snu einechem liyofi. What would the beautiful ones amongst them say? They would say to the Bochrim, focus on beauty, as a wife is only for beauty. She'ena isha liyofi. So again, Yafyefyes shebehen ma hayu imres, the beautiful girls, they would say snu einechem liyofi. Put your eyes on beauty, Shena Isha Liefi, because a woman is only for beauty. And then now, when it came to the girls who had Yichos lineage, amongst them, they would say, focus on family as a wife, was only for children. And when it came to the unattractive ones, they would say, the unattractive girls would say, acquire your purchase for the sake of heaven. So that's the Bnei Tzion, the Bnei Yerushalayim would go out and make a circle. And in the Bnei Yerushalayim, there are different categories. Yeah, the beautiful ones would say that put your eyes on beauty, because that's a woman is only for beauty. The Miyuchasish Behen would say, and the unattractive ones would say, acquire your purchase for the sake of Shemayim. Like der Girsa in ein Yankiv kommt zu aferte Sug heute im Fall von Mucharis. According to the version of the Ein Yankiv, there's a fourth category before the category of the unattractive ones, and the Girsa is Ashirei Shebehen Imres Nu Einechem Bebaal Moment. The wealthy amongst them would say, focus on those who have wealth. So that's the four types of ladies that we're talking about. The Yerushalmi also lists categories of Bnei Yerushalayim, but with a difference. Anstatt zu rechnen 3 oder 4 Sugim, rechnet nur 2 Sugim. Now, the instead of the Yerushalmi listing all 4 categories, it lists only 2. It says ha-ku'aris, k'may ku'aris, korban eda. First the list, and it says the ku'aris, which is like the korban eda, and the Yerushalmi says as the unattractive ones. They would say, al titin einecha b'noi. Do not focus on beauty. And when it came to the nice ones, the pleasing ones, they would say, focus your eyes on the family. So what's the Rebbe's question? Davon verstehen, we have to understand es ist du der Kolel, as is nicht shaykh in Pluksen am Metzias. It's a known rule that when it comes to things which are a Metzias, a reality is not disputed. Is there fun verstandig? So from this is understood as the Kula Amas an Zwisch as zwischen die Beis Yerushalayim, Hayotzes, Va'imres, V'chuli, given nicht nur Yefefies, Neus, Umechoris, nor Oich Miyuchasis, Nashiris. So was where it's a nicht gerechnet in Yerushalayim. It's a matter of rule. Whenever there's a matter of facts, reality, there's no dispute. So it's obviously clear that all agree that amongst the Bnei Yerushalayim would go out and say there were not only beautiful ones or pleasing ones, the unattractive ones, but also those who come from yichus, come from lineage and wealth. So the question is, why does the Yerushalmi not bring the two groups that the Bavli brings down? And Bavli nuster dem loshen yefefies, yefi, and the Yerushalmi is nice. Also, we have to understand, why does the Bavli use the word beautiful, yefefies, yefi, beauty, and the Yerushalmi, when it speaks about the beautiful girls, it uses the lashon of nice, pleasing. So that's the first question that Rebbe asks on the Bavli Yerushalmi. Why on the Yerushalmi? Number one, why doesn't the Yerushalmi bring down all four categories like the Bavli does? And number two, why doesn't the what's the difference? Why does the Bavli use the expression of beauty and the Yerushalmi uses the word of pleasing? Base. In Yerushalmi govazan nit verstande kame praten mehem. Now, there are some details in the Yerushalmi which also need clarification. Umehem amongst them is as follows. Aleph. Das was die Kuores haben gesagt, al titen inecha b'nei. This that the unattractive one said, do not focus on beauty, is doch bloß that diber shel shlila. Was mir so nit kleiden. Now, the girls, according to the Yerushalmi, they would say, do not focus on beauty. This was a negative, advising people what to avoid. They would tell the Bachrim, don't focus on beauty. The Bachrim soll wel auskleiben. Die Kure hat sie doch veröde gedarf reden an die Chiyuvi, was soll ja kleiben. Derech wie die Neus sagen, ten inecha v'mishpacha. Now, to persuade a Bachar to choose an unattractive woman, seemingly, it would make a lot more sense for her to make more of a affirmative statement as to why he should choose her. Just as like the ones who are nice, pleasing, they would say, focus on the family. Well, it does, now, like we see, even the Bavli, when it comes to the version of girls saying, do not, the Mechoris, they would say, acquire your purchase for the sake of Shemayim. In other words, for Maisim Tevim. In the Yerushalmi, it just focuses on the negative. Do not focus on beauty. Okay, so what should I focus on? Why not just say it in a way of affirmative way, in a chiyuvi, in a more of a positive way, like the Yerushalmi, like the Bavli has it? And Bavli, what does it say? It says focus on purchasing a world, the same Shemayim. So that's another question. To me, is noch größer. The question is even stronger. Was für ein Ort hat es als die Kuoris als all machbar sein, altitin inecha binoi, das ist doch magisch, als bei sie ist nicht auch kein neu. How does it make sense for the unattractive ones to say, do not focus on beauty? Which means that they're basically calling out, they're drawing attention to their chesronos, to their shortcomings. They lack beauty. When somebody doesn't say anything, so person could have, beautiness is in the eyes of the beholder. But these ladies are screaming out to themselves and saying, we are unattractive. Why would they say that? Why are they drawing such attention? Base. What is their kasher zwischen nois and ten inecha b'mishpacha? What's the connection to those who were nois for pleasing to focus on the family? The Ian from Mishpacha is the Chamaila from Yichos. We stay taken babli as das flex sagen im Yichosis. Family, a good family has the advantage of Yichos. As the Babli says, the Yichosis, what would they say? They would say, focus on the family. What's What's the connection between those who are pleasing telling us to focus on the family? The Farshins are das mivar. Some of us want to explain as we bald some of us say that since the daughters of Israel are inherently pleasing, just what happens? That poverty makes the woman unattractive. So the beautiful ones are probably the daughters of the wealth because they don't have the poverty of wearing them out. So that's why. What was the question? We asked two questions. We said, why are you saying in the way of shlila? And number two, why is the noise saying teni necha mishpacha? Look at lineage. What's the connection? Some of us want to say that since Bnei Yisrael are be'etzem beautiful, but it's just that the Anias wears them out. And so if a girl remains beautiful, it must be that she was from the Bnei Sashirim. So what's the connection? Over the Pirish starting Gadol. For Vos Dafar no Zagin Tani Necha Mishpacha, they bring an Araya Asiris from the Yafi. You notice start like Zagin Tani Necha B'Yafi. Now, so what are you saying? You're saying that when a woman is saying that these women who are really beautiful are saying Tani Necha Mishpacha, what are they showing? That they have Yichus, they come from a family of not an Aniyim. So why? Because since Be'etzem, Bnei Yisrael nois, but it's Shaniyos and Avalosan. So why do they have to say this in a roundabout way? Just say clearly, Teini Necha, focus on beauty. If you want to prove that you're beautiful, let's just say Teini Necha b'yefim. Gimel. Yerushalmi is making the suk from Ko'oris Fardi nois. Yerushalmi, when he speaks about the categories, he brings the unattractive ones before the category of those who are attractive. And you should have went similar to the Bavli. The Bavli speaks about the importance of virtue, and the Bavli mentions first the girls who are beautiful. Gimel. So we have three questions over here. Number one, why focus on the negative? Why not just focus on the positive? How does it make sense for the unattractive ones to say Teini Necha b'Yafi, which is bringing attention to their chesroinus, the lack of beauty? Number two, what's the connection between those who are pleasing to focus on family? Family is yichus, and it's nothing to do with beauty. Some of us want to say that the Bnei Yisrael are be'etzem, beautiful, pleasing. Just the poverty makes them unattractive. So the beautiful women are probably the daughters of the wealthy. However, the Rebbe says, why would an unattractive woman say focus on family to prove she's beautiful? Just say focus on beauty. And number three, why does the Yerushalmi put Ku'ares before the noise? Why not go Keseder Chashivos? Yeah, you guys with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, great. Okay. The Rebbe says like this. Nochen oisrechenen. It's a typo there. Nochen oisrechenen the zwei sugim anal. After listing the two categories mentioned above, is a Yerushalmi mamshich and the mid mesayda mesechta. The Yerushalmi continues, and this is how he concludes Mesechta Tainus. The Chen hu aimer. Similarly, it says, "Tzena or ena b'nei Tzion b'melech shleima." Go forth, daughters of Tzion, and gaze upon Shleima Melech, King Shleima. Be'atara she'itra la'imai, upon the crown with which his mother crowned him. B'yayim chasrinasai, on the day of his wedding, zeh matan Torah. This refers to Matan Torah. V'yem simchas libo is binyan Beis Hamikdash, and the day of the gladness of his heart was refers to the building of the Beis Hamikdash. Shibana b'meida b'yameinu amen, may it be rebuilt speedily in our days. For them is it verstandig, so the Rebbe says it's not understood. What's not understood? Aleph. The Raya from Pasuk Zener Eno Gamer Vershen gebracht in their Mishnah. Was is the Gemara Machalish Eif HaMafurish Mishnah? This proof of about Bnei Sion go forth and gaze is already brought in the Mishnah. So the question is, what Chiddush does the Gemara introduce beyond what was explained in the Mishnah? In other words, the Mishnah that we quoted in the beginning, we know that the Bnei Yerushalayim would say, or they would say Shega Achin Ve'Evla Yefi. They would say, Sana Inecha Re'e Mata Imer Mata Re'e Mata Be'er Lecha Altitin Inecha B'nai Tin Inecha Mishpacha Mishpacha Shega Achin Ve'Evla Yefi Sheyiras Hashem Yitisalo. And as it says, K'nui Lo Me'Priyadav Ve'Ala Bashar Ma'asa, and it says also Tzenu Re'enu B'nei Tzion B'Melach Shleima B'Atam Shitin Lo'imay B'Yem Chasanos B'Yem Simchas Liboy B'Yem Chasanos Zuman Tedo. Now the Gemara brings this also down. Why would the Gemara bring this down if the Mishnah says it? Nofmer, even more so. In the Mishnah, kommt der Pasuk Zenrem Leisien als Raya if them as B'Yoim Akipurim Yem Chasanase V'Yem Sefas Libay Flagzaim Leis Yerushalayim Yitzis V'Cholis. The Gemara, the Mishnah brings down this Pasuk of Tzenu and go out and see B'nai Sion to tell us that on Yom Kippur, which we said Yom Kippur is the Chasana, and Yem Simchas Libay is just telling us that the B'nai Yerushalayim would go out and dance. How do I know that they would go out and dance on Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur? From the pasuk says clearly, that the daughters of Tzia went out. Aber was for Ashaychas had their pasuk to them Siyam in Gemara. But the question is, what's the connection does the pasuk have to the conclusion of the Gemara? Wo es redt sich nicht wegen der Yitzia, das Mana Yitzia, nur bloß wegen Zera Amira, ma hayu emris. But according to the Gemara, what is the connection to what we're saying that we're discussing not the act the girls are going out or the time they would go out, but rather only what they would say. What would they say? They would say, Ma hayu imri. What would they say? They would say, don't focus on beauty, focus on family. So what's the connection to this pasuk of Tzenu but I see it? So not only does he bring it again, but the way that the Gemara brings it, of Ma hayu imri, they would say in the way of Tzenu Re'enu, and in Maya Emrys they would say, and then brings a pasuk of Tzenu Re'enu. What's the shaykhs? Lloyd base, Lloyd Nuschoi say Yerushalmi. According to the Yerushalmi's version, but in the Mishnah nit gebracht the pasuk b'shtei musik. According to the Yerushalmi, the Mishnah does not mention a complete pasuk. The verter ba'atar shitla imay, ver nit nedak, ze vert nor nirmas mitbegamer. And the Yerushalmi, according to the Yerushalmi's version, the Mishnah does not mention the complete pasuk. The phrase upon the crown with which the mother crowned him, it's not quoted, it's only hinted by saying the words of a goymer, etc. Mashenkein in Gemara Yerushalmi. However, according in contrast, the words in the Yerushalmi are also quoted in the Gemara. Gimel, Nafli Verter, Shivana B'Meida B'Menu, in the Gemara, is the Gemara Meisiv Amin. Was in der Mishnah, also Yerushalmi steht das nicht in my time, and also, Shivana Beis Hamikdash, and Amin, that may the Beis Hamikdash be rebuilt speedily in our days, the Gemara adds Amin, but the Mishnah, the Yerushalmi's version is not, and the question is why. So, we said in Gimel, we said another three things. We said after listing in the Yerushalmi the two categories that the Yerushalmi mentions, the Gemara says, as similarly it says that the B'nai Sion, Tzenu Re'enu, B'nai Sion, go forth, daughters of Sion, and look at Shlomo Melech's crown, with the crown, with just and his mother crowned him. On the day of his wedding, which refers to the giving of the Torah, and the Yom Simchas Liba, in the day of the gladness of his heart, this refers to the building of the Beis HaMikdash, made happily speeding our days. So the Rebbe asked 3 questions. Number 1 is the raya of Tzener Eno is already brought in the Mishnah. So what is the Gemara being mechadish? Number 2, the Rebbe asks in the Yerushalmi that when we say Tzener Eno b'nei Tzion, that's a raya that the girls would go out on and dance in Yom Kippur and Tubov. But what's the connection to what the Gemara says that the Bnei Tzion would say that don't focus on beauty, focus on family, like it says, Tzener Eno b'nei Tzion? What's the connection? And also, the Rebbe asks, according to the Nusach of the Yerushalmi, does not bring, and the Mishnah does not bring the full pasuk of Ba'atara Shitna Imay. It only says V'Geimer. Mashenkin, according to the Gemara, it does bring down. Question number 3 is why the Gemara brings down Shibar b'Mehera b'Yamina Amen, and then the Mishnah, the Yerushalmi, he does not bring this down. And the question is why. So the Rebbe says, as Dalet, Yishleimer the beer b'cholza. We could say the explanation for this as follows, and let's preface. We could look for a rationale for each difference and question individually. It makes a lot of sense to say that there's 1 or 2 general svaras, which makes sense to clarify all the difference and questions. In our case, we could say as dos is verbunden mit achide klali zwischen Talmud Bavli and Talmud Yerushalmi, that this is connecting and this is in connection with an underlying svara, in connection with a general difference between the Talmud Bavli and the Talmud Yerushalmi. Was is Vigret Shein Filmo, as in Talmud Yerushalmi reden sich den Yonah Bekitzer Bechlolis. Mashenkin in Bavli verns in his Bayer, as we said many times, that in Talmud Yerushalmi, they discuss the concepts very, very concisely and generally, whereas in Bavli explains the concepts in great detail. Und dem Tam of them bepashtases, what's the reason? Simply is, weil Limra Gemara Bavel hat sich gezeugen allein gezeigt nach Simas Talmud Yerushalmi. Warum der Chiber Rechasimo von Talmud Bavli is given Acher Shechiber Rabbi Yechon Gemara Yerushalmi is bekamoi Mea Shana. Says that the Gemara in Bavli was carried on long after Talmud Yerushalmi was finalized. As we know, the Rabbi Yechanan, who was the one who was Mechaber Talmud Yerushalmi, Talmud Bavli was finalized 100 years after Talmud Yerushalmi. Let's say, says Talmud Bavli is Basroi the Gabi Talmud Yerushalmi, which means that Talmud Bavli is a later source relative to Talmud Yerushalmi. Basroi zayin sich misasik oich in Divri Akadmoi, ovemele mer mefard umefarish vi de Friedike. And the since Talmud Bavli is the later source, so it also deals with the words of the Yerushalmi. So the latter one is more detailed and explanatory than the earlier sources of the Yerushalmi. This makes more sense. Ba'alderech v'dodeshet from Lashon HaMishneh was adober dibur kotzer v'kel yonim rabim the Gabi Lashon HaGemara in Ashpat Gazman. And this is like the Mishnah itself. That the Mishnah, the way that the Mishnah is worded, is concise, and the Mishnah it encompasses many concepts. And we know the Gemara comes and dissects and takes upon the Mishnah in a later time. This is also the difference between the Talmud Bavli and Yerushalmi in our case. Either Mishnah was his Dibur Kotzer, Kanal State Nar the Klal, aus Bnei Yerushalayim, Hoyu oimres al titeni necha b'noiteni necha b'mishpacha on pratim. The Mishnah, which we just said, speaks concise, only says generally, b'nois Yerushalayim. They would say the daughters of Yerushalayim, Hoyu oimres, they would say, do not focus on beauty, focus on the family. On pratim, without delving into details. Die Pratim bezeh kommen erst in der Gemara, wo es sein befuret die Sugim from Bnei Yerushalayim. The details are only explored in the Gemara, which specifies the categories of the daughters of Yerushalayim. So again, the Mishnah we says is Bekitzer, so the Mishnah talks Bekitzer without details. And the Gemara, the Gemara specifies the categories of Bnei Yerushalayim, it goes into details. Or in them is so that's the difference between Gemara, Mishnah, and Gemara. And with this, as we just explained, the difference between the Yerushalmi and the Bavli is in them is Bavli and Yerushalmi. This also clarifies the difference between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. In Yerushalmi, that is in Yonim Mer Bechlalis, Kel Mer Dibneis and Svei Sugim Klalim. In the Yerushalmi, which discusses things more generally, so divides the daughters into two general categories. Ober Bavli is min mefaret, the tzvei sugim mer bepratis, kumen areis drei vier sugim. However, the Bavli, which delves into the particulars of these categories, so I have 3 or 4 categories that come out. So now that Rebbe says, so now that we have this yisoid, this also clarifies the difference in wording between the Bavli and the Yerushalmi. In Bavli state the lashon yafei liyofi. The Bavli uses the wording yafei beautiful ones. Mashiach Yerushalmi is the lashon nois. The Yerushalmi uses the expression of nois, beautiful ones, or pleasant ones. But the chilik b'neim is, what's the difference between saying somebody who's yofi, beautiful, or nois, pleasant? When you say that somebody is very beautiful, that means that they're either beautiful in their face or their body. When you say somebody is pleasant, is when you say that somebody is pleasant can mean a lot of different, it describes physical and spiritual milas. Side begashmistic and side ruchlistic. So now that we asked before, one of the Rebbe's question is, why does the Bavli use lashon of yoifi and the Yerushalmi uses the lashon of nois? Is because the Bavli is very specific. So we're going into the specifics. The Yerushalmi is more generally, and general. When you say yoifis, it can have a connotation on physical and spiritual qualities. Well, this is the chiluk between Yerushalmi and Bavli. This is the difference between the Yerushalmi and the Bavli. The Yerushalmi teilen die Bnei Yerushalayim zwei Sugim Klalim. Die Welfta seien Beiles, Meile, Nois, and Koris. The Yerushalmi divides the daughters of Yerushalayim into 2 general categories. Those who possess virtues, those who are pleasing, and unattractive ones. Mashenkin and Bavli is in Machaldim Sug for Nois, Guf, and Drei Pratim. However, the Bavli subdivides the category of pleasing into 3 subcategories. Nois mitzad yoifi aguf aponim. You have the pleasing due to bodily and facial beauty. You have the noise mitzad yichus miyuchoses. You have the beauty mitzad family, like Yisus and Yaakov. Noise mitzad them was zan ashirs, or nice that she comes from a rich family. The shleimar in them is the ma'ala nita zoi the ashirs mitzad atzmi, and in that also it's not mitzad the world by itself, nor as by zeis nitod in aniyusan minuvalasan. It's not that we're focusing on the fact that they're wealthy; it's just that they don't have the concern of that the wealth, that the being poor wears you out. Rather, on the contrary, they possess a pleasant home and a pleasant possessions, which, as we know, broadens a person's mind. So now the Rebbe, so far we're saying, is the Rebbe laid down a foundation of the difference between the Yerushalmi and the Babli. The Yerushalmi is more general, so he says two categories. He says the noise can mean a lot of things, and he says the Mukhar is the unattractive. The Babli is telling us in noise he's getting into subcategories. You have somebody who's beautiful, Begashmias, you have somebody who's beautiful, Mitzad family, and you have somebody who's beautiful, Mitzad Ashiras. Goes into the subcategories, into the details. Okay, let's do a little bit more. Apia now, wird aber noch starker die Scheile, in Yerushalmi. Ein Achanami as noise is Kolel Sichos, so doch aber Kolel Beker Yafefius of Echashiris. As we pass Zagin by Zayt Taini Necha B'Mishpacha. Based on this, the question in Siv Beis still gains a lot of strength. Those who were pleasing also include miyuchasis, lineage. However, it primarily includes the beautiful woman and the wealthy as well. So how does it make sense for the woman to advise? Again, according to the Yerushalmi, the Rebbe just said we're focusing on all types of women here. So if we're focusing on all types of women, why are you only why is these general women saying Teni Nechel Mishpacha? Focus on the family. The Rebbe says this. The explanation is as follows. The alles Sugin Maila Anal sein nicht in Jönen, was die Bnei Yerushalayim haben allein ausgeharvet untergreich, nor was sie bekommen von sehr Eltern in Mishpacha. All the categories of virtue mentioned are not virtues that the Bnei Yerushalayim acquired by their own effort. Instead, they inherited these virtues and qualities from their parents and family. Miyuchases is doch bepashas an inyan habab Yerusha. Lineage, yichus, is something that is inherited. Ashiris, abbas v'isha ksheda, b'neis Yerushalayim, alachas kam b'neis Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, fitzich doch in an even von kol kvede bas melech pnime. Und nicht as a gain and raise allein verdienen Geld, aber fahrt de chasna. Und hier Ashiris is was sie hat from Mishpacha. So even wealth, the wealthy of the Bnei Yerushalayim, we're speaking about people who conduct themselves, as Tehillim says, called Kveda Bas Melech Pnima, all honor of the king's daughters is within, which means that these girls, especially before the wedding, did not pursue a career. So where are they getting their wealth from? This stems from their family. Is doch nicht tolle in ihr, nor in ihre Eltern, nächstes Lezevus, die zu schell sein dem Aniosen, mit dem Lossen Kanal Sedal, ist das durch der Ashidus, von die Eltern. The beauty is not acquired trait, but it's biuchus. Apisa kommt es, as es ist da, chilik ikri in den Teichel amir shel anoyes zwischen Babel und Yerushalmi. It comes out that this is also a difference between, a fundamental difference between the Babel and the Yerushalmi, the Teichel. Leut Babli kommt es, as jeder Sug hat ares gebrach sein Meile. According to the Babli, it turns out that the woman of each category emphasizes their virtue. As she says, focus on either the beauty, focus on the family, focus on the wealth. That we should look at the miles that she has. Even though girls who say, look at family, is the doch nicht oisen die Meile von der Mishpacha in allgemein, or das was sie als a Teil von der Mishpacha vermogt die Meile von Yichus. Even those who say focus on the family, they're not highlighting the virtue of family in general, but rather they, that as members of the family, possess the virtue of Yichus. Shegen in Yerushalmi is der Teichen Amira von die Neues, as man soll gucken auf die Sibes Hamailas. As sie seien nicht in Jone, was sie hat aufgetan, bekehr Atzme, nor sie allein stammen von ihrem Mishpacha. According to the Yerushalmi, this statement of those who were pleasing, they would say, focuses on what caused their virtue. These virtues were not attained by the woman through their effort. Instead, they all stem from their respective families. Und euch der Chiluk zwischen Babel und Yerushalmi is verbunden mit der Chiluk Kanal Sivdal zwischen Eiflim und Babel und Yerushalmi Chiluk Aman. The difference of opinions between the Babel and the Yerushalmi is also connected with the distinction mentioned above between the Babel and the Yerushalmi, the way that they study, as explained below.